Number 8. Slaying in the Seoul subway. In 2019, while employed by the Seoul metro system in South Korea's capital, Jeon Ju-won developed an unsettling interest in a 28-year-old female co-worker. Despite her clear rejection, Jeon persisted in his pursuit, making over 300 calls and pressuring her to date him. His obsession escalated when he threatened self-harm when his advances were rebuffed. Over time, Jeon's behavior evolved from bothersome to terrifying as he escalated into aggressive stalking. He went so far as to install a concealed camera in a workplace bathroom, using the captured footage to blackmail his colleague. After enduring 2 years of this harassment, the victim reported Jeon to the police in 2021, filing a second complaint months later. Jeon faced charges of stalking, illegal filming, and threats, leading to his job termination. However, efforts to detain him were unsuccessful due to the perceived low flight risk. Unfortunately, no protective measures were taken to shield the victim from Jeon's ongoing terror, leaving her to cope alone. Even after his conviction and a 9-year prison sentence related to her initial complaint, Jeon continued his intimidation tactics, using the victim to sway his case in his favor. Tragically, on the eve of Jeon's re-sentence hearing, he ambushed his co-worker in the employee bathroom, donning a swimming cap and rubber gloves. He brutally murdered her, exposing the tragic consequences of missed opportunities to intervene. Jeon later confessed to revenge as his motive, triggered by his legal troubles. He targeted the victim for refusing to manipulate his case outcome, driving him to commit murder. Convicted of this heinous act, he was sentenced to 40 years in prison, followed by 15 years under ankle monitor surveillance. This horrifying incident occurred alongside South Korea's introduction of an anti-stalking law, which failed to safeguard the victim. In response to the public outcry, President Yoon Suk-yeol mandated Justice Ministry enhancements. The policy revisions removed a clause requiring victims' consent for prosecution, diminishing risks of retaliation. Additionally, stalking suspects now wear ankle monitors before sentencing. While these overdue adjustments signify progress in protecting gender-based violence victims, the struggle for further advancements continues. These strengthened policies represent a pivotal stride towards safeguarding victims and holding perpetrators responsible in South Korea's ongoing battle for legal improvements. Number 7. Worst human in the world. Back in 2018, a distressing scene awaited 27-year-old Robert Miller when he returned to his Wichita, Kansas residence. The door screen had been savagely torn off its hinges, his mailbox lay in ruins, and a brick had shattered a window. Inside, a heart-wrenching scene awaited him, his cherished dog brutally beaten to death. Initially, the police struggled to pinpoint a suspect, but pressed on with their investigation. Concurrently, people of the Ethical Treatment of Animals, more commonly known as PETA, stepped in, offering a $5,000 reward to aid in identifying and apprehending the perpetrator. The loss of his decade-old American Bulldog, affectionately known as Buffalo Boy, left Miller devastated. Close to a year later, in early 2019, a breakthrough emerged as the police charged 30-year-old Hilde Nordhook in connection to the crime. Surveillance footage and a license plate reader program unveiled her identity. Prosecutors alleged a romantic history between Nordhook and Miller, suggesting that jealousy had driven her to fatally assault his dog. In 2021, Nordhook had entered a no-contest plea for animal cruelty, theft, and burglary. Her sentence encompassed a 30-day jail term, alongside 2 years of probation. As the judge delivered the sentence, a stern warning accompanied it. Any violation of probation terms would lead to a mandatory 13-month prison stint for burglary and an additional 12 months in county lockup for animal cruelty. Number 6. Glitter bombed. In October 2022, 24-year-old Nicole Walker's suspicions about her girlfriend's identity led her to a pivotal confrontation. Driven by an intuitive gut feeling, Walker, aiming to uncover the truth, engaged in a conversation with her partner Vera. During this exchange, Walker persuaded Vera into admitting her unfaithfulness. While the couple's relationship came to an end, Walker's emotions did not find closure there. Driven by a desire for revenge against her disloyal ex, she sought help from a friend. Together, they strategized creative vengeance tactics. The result was Walker's decision to unleash a glittery onslaught within Vera's apartment, an act she could not only carry out but also document on TikTok. The video captured her showering the notoriously stubborn-to-clean glitter substance across carpets, beds, drawers, and every nook and cranny she could conceive. She even went as far as to sprinkle sparkles into the fridge and freezer. Walker recounted how Vera's reaction to the video was tearful, yet she harbored no remorse. On the contrary, she expressed a belief that her ex deserved the glittery spectacle, a sentiment that remained even after the surprising turn of events that saw them rekindle their relationship. Even with reconciliation, Walker remained steadfast in her conviction, affirming that she considered Vera's actions deserving of the glitter barrage, and even hinted at a willingness to repeat the act in the future if similar circumstances arose. Number 5. Don't play with my PlayStation. In 2018, when 22-year-old Jake Bellotta discovered his PlayStation missing, suspicion fell on his former roommate, 24-year-old Joshua Barnes. Recently evicted from their Maitland, Florida apartment due to unpaid rent, Barnes became the prime suspect in the alleged theft of not only the gaming console, but also a bong and a marijuana scale. According to their third roommate, Ian McClurg, Bellotta's reaction was intense. He displayed deep-seated anger, even punching a hole in the wall during a fit of rage over the supposed theft. Bellotta's fury escalated further upon hearing rumors that Barnes was openly boasting about stealing the PlayStation. Beyond his indignation, Bellotta was concerned that these claims might encourage others to target his apartment. Determined to retrieve his stolen property, Bellotta devised a ploy to entice Barnes back to the residence. Crafting a fabricated event, he lured his ex-roommate with the promise of the presence of women. However, upon Barnes's arrival, Bellotta launched a frenzied knife attack that ended Barnes's life, all while McClurg looked on. Bellotta and McClurg intended to dispose of Barnes's body by encasing it in garbage bags and removing it from the scene. Unexpectedly, their new roommate returned home, stumbling upon the gruesome scene and promptly dialed 911. During the call, he revealed a history of discord between the suspects and the victim, although he lacked precise details as he had just walked in. Pressed for information on Barnes's condition, the roommate recounted that the victim lay motionless atop a plastic bag. Fearful for his own safety and that of his girlfriend, considering the suspect's awareness of the crime, he urgently summoned the authorities. Fortunately, Bellotta and McClurg were apprehended before further harm could unfold. Despite Bellotta's claim of self-defense, his story crumbled under scrutiny in court. Ultimately, he was convicted of murder, resulting in a life sentence without parole. McClurg, on the other hand, pleaded guilty to being an accessory after the fact and tampering with evidence, leading to a prison term of 10 years. Number 4. Cancel or confirm. In 2022, TikTok user Sarah Lupika captivated a massive audience with her hysterical prank call video, showcasing her interaction with a former toxic flame. With Google's assistance, Lupika employed a robotic voice to mimic an automated message, opening her prank call to her ex, Connor. In a deadpan tone, the synthetic voice inquired about Connor's supposed order of hemorrhoid cream. The automated prompt requested him to utter confirm to validate the order and cancel to rescind it. Responding with a cancel, Connor found himself in an amusing loop as the robot asserted, "I heard you say confirm, is that correct?" Amid his growing desperation, Connor again insisted on cancel. The ruse took a comical turn as the robot expressed gratitude for Connor's order and offered him the choice to press 1 to speak to a representative. Falling for the illusion of imminent connection, Connor listened to a simulated ringing sound before the robot introduced the specially selected hold music. Big Sean's "I Don't F With You" blared into his ear. Connor's baffled "what" marked the end of the clip, which promptly amassed millions of views. Although opinions were divided, many viewers appreciated the light-hearted and creative prank. Sarah, known for her prank call posts on TikTok, maintained a playful tone, suggesting that her call to the ex wasn't fueled by traditional vengeance. In a follow-up post soon after the hemorrhoid call, Sarah enacted a similar prank on someone tagged as Toxic Ex Number 2 in her contacts. Mirroring the first prank's impact, this video garnered an array of amused responses from her audience. Number 3. Fam Bam Revenge. In early 2023, Quinyana Edwards, aged 39, tragically chose to drive under the influence after leaving a nightclub. This ill-fated decision led her to drive in the wrong direction on a Las Vegas highway, resulting in a collision with another vehicle at 2:30 in the morning. Both Edwards and the other driver lost their lives in the crash. Subsequent toxicology tests unveiled the harrowing truth. Edwards's blood alcohol level exceeded 3 times the legal limit, and her system also contained traces of cocaine and marijuana. The following day brought yet another wave of sorrow when Edwards's boyfriend, Martin Loftus, 35 years old, was discovered deceased in his apartment. Multiple gunshot wounds revealed a distressing story. Evidence indicated that the assailant pursued Loftus down a corridor as he attempted to seek refuge in a bedroom. Driven by eyewitness accounts of a departing vehicle from the apartment complex and corroborating evidence, investigators identified the presumed perpetrators as Edwards' sibling, Sheldon Johnson, aged 34, and his 36-year-old girlfriend, Kenesha Rice. According to law enforcement, Johnson had left social media posts insinuating blame on Loftus for his sister's demise, and he reportedly hinted at his intent to avenge Edwards' death by taking Loftus's life. Subsequently apprehended in California and then extradited to Las Vegas, Johnson and Rice now confront serious charges, including open murder, conspiracy to commit murder, burglary, and conspiracy to commit burglary. Number 2. Creeper and the Sheriff. On Thanksgiving Day in 2010, a group of 6 men gathered for a game of cards and beer in the open air of Ruskin, Florida. Amid the camaraderie, an unexpected minivan pulled up to the scene. The driver, donning a shirt labeled Sheriff and wielding a shotgun, stepped out and inquired about someone known as Creeper. While the group recognized Creeper, he was absent from the gathering. Suddenly, the armed stranger commanded everyone to the ground, and assuming his authenticity as a law enforcement officer, the friends complied. Tragically, this presumption was mistaken. The imposter proceeded to systematically shoot the men, leaving death and chaos in his wake. Among the victims, Juan Guitron, aged 28, and his 22-year-old brother, Sergio Guitron, lost their lives. The remaining 4 survived the ordeal despite their injuries. Initial law enforcement response proved ineffective in identifying the suspect, who had vanished from the scene prior to their arrival. In the aftermath of the incident, an informant revealed that a local ice cream vendor named Michael Keatley had been discussing his intentions to avenge an assault upon him 11 months prior. In that earlier incident, masked assailants had shot Keatley multiple times, causing permanent disability, and made off with a mere $12 stolen from his truck. In a tragic error, Keatley mistakenly linked Creeper to the robbery, despite none of his 6 victims having any connection to the crime. What unfolded was a chilling case of mistaken identity. Following days of investigation, authorities arrested Keatley, who endured a decade behind bars until his trial in 2020. His defense team contended that his injuries from the earlier shooting rendered him medically incapable of committing the crime. Furthermore, they criticized the police investigation, branding it a nightmarish failure. The initial trial concluded in a mistrial, extending the case for an additional 3 years. Finally, in 2023, over a dozen years since the shooting, a second jury convicted Keatley on 2 counts of murder and 4 counts of attempted murder. The sentencing imposed 6 concurrent life terms without the possibility of parole, though Keatley reportedly intends to challenge the verdict through an appeal. Number 1. A double dose. In 2020, breaking away from the typical electronic modus operandi for revenge porn crimes, a Louisiana woman seemingly opted for a more conventional approach by physically mailing intimate photographs of 2 individuals to a group of over 24 people. Sarah D. Farris, aged 32 and hailing from Sulphur, was accused by the Calcasieu Parish Sheriff's Office of orchestrating this disturbing act. It was revealed that Farris had accessed the personal information of one of the victims, sending defamatory letters about him to approximately 30 recipients, along with copies of his explicit images. She even took a trip to Texas to mail the letters, as reported by Sheriff's Deputy Stitch Guillory to local station Fox 29. Multiple individuals reached out to the male victim after receiving these unsettling letters. It became apparent that Farris had gained access to his social media account due to her prior assistance in setting it up years earlier. Upon receiving Farris's alleged scheme for revenge, authorities pressed 150 counts of non-consensual disclosure of private images against her. Though she was released on a $75,000 bond the same day, her freedom was short-lived, as further charges awaited her. A mere few weeks following her initial arrest, Farris faced allegations of extending her perverted campaign by incorporating photographs of not just 1 but 2 victims within the mail-delivered pamphlets. She incurred an additional 30 counts of non-consensual disclosure of private images. Once more, Farris secured her release, this time on a $15,000 bond, pending her next court appearance. As of now, the outcome of the case remains uncertain. Thanks for watching. Have you ever gotten revenge on someone for doing you dirty? Tell us about it in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time on Bad Badger.